We are a year this week since the start of the conflict, those Hamas atrocities in Israel. Commemorations began this weekend, marking the first anniversary of the moment that more than 1,200 people were murdered in the massacre of October the 7th. We know the multi-fronted war, as we talk about it tonight, taken shape since, and 250 hostages taken that day. At least 100 remain held in Gaza. Unclear how many remain alive. I want to bring in Remo Salman, who's credited with saving hundreds of lives at the Nova Festival on the 7th of October. Police officer working in the early hours that day. Great to have you on the programme, Remo. First of all, I should say, given the rolling, developing news at the moment, you were supposed to be on just a few days ago, but living through the ripple effect of that moment, you ended up being called out, am I right to say, responding to another attack on Israelis in Beersheba earlier this week.
I work in the police station Negev Shalom. It's near to Beersheba city. On the 7th October, for 1 year ago, I get to the Nova party. In the police force, in the Israeli police force, you can do extra money if you go to make a shift as on a football game or a festival like Nova. What I want to say also is that, how we say it?
Take your time, Remo. You can start when you want, given what you've seen, given what you've witnessed. There's no rush. You go wherever you want to go in terms of describing, your year since. Yeah.
My name is Remo Salman El-Hozayel. I'm half Swiss, half Bedouin. I'm a Muslim. I'm 37 years old. I'm married with 3 kids. I work in the police force as an investigator for 5 years now. And for me, the Festival Nova was the first time in that 5 years as guarding a party. In the Israel police force, you can get extra money if you go guard a football game, a festival like Nova, or a fixed road at night.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the first time. On the 6th October, a colleague of mine asked me if I would like to do the shift of guarding the Nova party. I accept. After a few days, I realized that I have replaced with my colleague. She came to me after a few days and begging for forgiveness, but I told her I'm glad that I replaced with her because I don't know how she will react in that situation. On the 7th October, 6:22, I arrived to the Nova party. 8 minutes before it all starts, 6:30, thousands of rockets. For us, unfortunately, we used to that because we get all the time rockets. And we start, after I make a record at 6:30, we get inside the Nova, 36 cops from the night shift and from the morning shift. And we start to evacuate everyone. 6:56, I make another record with my colleague, a detective, and I'm joking with him. I'm telling him, if we die, at least we have a record.
Yeah.
73 minutes exactly. One of the teenagers ran to our direction and yelling that his friend was shot next to Kibbutz Reim. Automatically, I informed the group of the morning shift, and then we ran to the temporary police station next to the party, and suddenly between 10 to 20 civilians run to our direction from the road 232 and yelling, terrorists, terrorists, they're shooting at us, there is one badly wounded, and from there 15 hours of fighting and rescuing. In some point in the morning, after we try to hold as much as we can the terrorists back, I found a car. And with that car, I start to make rescues of the teenage. We were surrounded from barbary, from Reim, and from the forest. So the only option was to the east. And I drive very fast with a car that I found in the field to the east until I found the greenhouse. And at that point, I decide that's a temporary safe place. And to there, I put all the civilians, all the teenage from the Nova party. I drive back, go back inside, go out, go back inside, go out. It was a long fight and rescuing. We were 36 cops with pistols only against 350 terrorists heavily armed. I can say that the police force fight the terrorists from the morning until afternoon. And gladly, our lieutenant of the state Negev launched a code Parash Paleshet. That code mean is that all the cops will block all the roads.
Yeah.
So that helped to hold back the terrorists from go further to Tel Aviv or to Jerusalem.
When you process it, Remo, and you've talked about what, for 15 hours and keeping people in cars, only having pistols, how do you think you managed to survive that day?
To be honest, maybe 5-6 times I was supposed to be dead. It's a matter of seconds. In the RPG that hit the cars, exactly where we were defending, and the shooting snipers, the terrorists were very, very, very heavily armed. And each bullet we shoot must count, must hit the target, because what I had, only 3 magazines. And the third magazine I gave to a colleague of mine. In the morning it was very hard.
When you look now, Remo, all this time on, one thing that strikes me is when I'm in Israel and I speak to people there, whether it's Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, Israelis say Westerners, people outside, can never understand the trauma unless you're in Israel, but even more so for you, because you directly saw it and were more involved than many other people. And for you, just talk me through this week and trying to process it, whether that's even possible given what you've been through.
It was very, very hard because you go to the families that lost their sons and daughters, and I was also in the area of the Nova on the 7th October. It's hard because it's all coming back.
Does it help, Remo, to talk about it, or does it make it worse for you? Because certainly, I don't want to push you into an area where you feel actually it's taking you back to a place that's so dark you just want to forget. Or does it help in some way?
I don't think any one of us will forget the 7th October, what happened on that day. Yeah. Something that will continue with us, I think, all our lives. In Israel, you have 2.5 million Muslims. It's living together with Jew and Christian and Druze, living together, working together, eating together. And on that day, we saw how everyone stand together as one unit, one team, one group, one family against that pure terror. And the terrorists didn't care if you're a Jew or Muslim or Christian. All they wanted to do is to kill as much as they can, kidnap as much as they can, make a lot of destruction. The first victim, citizen victim, was a Bedouin woman for my community, Rahat. She was pregnant, was with hijab, and they didn't care about that. They shot her multiple times. For my city, the biggest Bedouin city in Israel, many came to help. Unfortunately, some of them were killed on the road and some of them were kidnapped until today. And I hope we'll get all the hostages back home to their family.
Remo, let me ask you, we're a year on, there's multi-fronted war. You probably heard the politics we were talking about a moment ago. What helps you a year on in terms of what keeps your you motivated, given the darkness that you've seen? And let me ask you, do you believe in the policy of escalate to de-escalate that the government is going through right now to the extent it is?
I'm not authorized to answer that question as a policeman.
No, I understand. It's really great to have you on the programme, Remo El-Hozayel, and we hope to have you on in future as well. Thank you for your time and to talking to me today.